Hello everybody. So, ramp installed. Just going to give you the immediate reaction, sort of pros, cons, and a walk around, see what sort of space we actually ended up with compared to what I simulated, if you like, in the video. Overall, really couldn't be much more pleased. The kit is obviously very good quality. Nothing needed any tinkering with to get it to work. The size of it is nigh on perfect for an Xk8, in that the width of the ramp is basically in the shadow of the bodywork. You're not going to trip up on the ramp at all. That's not really an issue of having this in your garage. If I'm looking for a negative in terms of dimensions, for this car, which has got a particularly long wheelbase, particularly for a sports car, the sill length is kind of between two perfect positions. So your rubber blocks, as the car is stuck now, will be very close to the join on this ramp, but you can't really raise both of these ramps in order to lengthen it. I can lift the back one, and the other jacking point is there just on the second ramp, or you can position the car in the middle and sort of have the blocks just about on the green. It's just in between sizes. Perfectly fine, there's not an issue, you just have to raise one of the ramps. But yeah, it can certainly accommodate the sill length of a very long vehicle. So if you have got something like a long wheelbase Land Rover or something like that, it's going to be absolutely fine for it. Another really minor con, I mentioned that it's the perfect width, and I'm very pleased about that. I was wondering if I was going to be tripping over it every 5 minutes, because that's kind of me. But to get it perfectly centered and in line is going to take a little bit of a gadget, which I've not quite devised yet, some sort of sighting device. I can obviously drive it on and hit the ramps every single time. There's not an issue there, and you know when you're front and rear because you can feel the wheels dropping over and position it. That's all fine. But my driveway doesn't line up with my garage. They're not straight. I have to come in at a bit of an angle and all the rest of it. So to get it on the ramp straight is quite difficult. The biggest pro of the lot, and the reason why I think, well done John, you made the right decision on choosing the scissor lift rather than all the other types, is just the fact that, I mean, genuinely, I've come into the garage, I've got my coffee, and this is the next morning. I thought I'd have a little chat with you guys. I'm going to lift the car now, real time, nothing's connected, nothing's been set up. I'll put that ramp back down. I'll do it real time just to give you the impression of how convenient it is to just say, oh, I need to look under the car. So one more slurp and I'll go do. So the only setup I have is 4 little rubber blocks, which I just sit on top of the sill. The jacking point on the Jag is along the seam and is reasonably easy to spot. So put that back. That's one side. That's the other side. So all I've got to do, turn on my power, turn on my other power, and then press up. The clonking you can hear is the safety locks. I'll take it all the way to the top so you can see the effect. The jolt at the end was me pressing the lock button, which just lowers it down onto its ratcheting mechanism. And where am I? 5'10". So shoulder height, top of the wheel. It's kind of perfect given that I can't go up more than another ½ metre, yeah, maybe 2 feet with this car anyway, so it's kind of the best height all round. If I was lifting anything like the Jeep outside, then top of the lift would probably be just a little too close for comfort to my rafters, so again I'll have to make some markings for that. But it's just so easy, you know, that's up. I can now do something on the car. So really happy with that. Just unhooked you from the tripod. Again, just to give you a sort of my eye view, so that's head height. You can see the wheels come clear of the drooping ramps. You've still got clearance underneath the car. You can obviously use taller blocks. You can probably get 2 of those in here and still be able to lift the car without any extra work. But if the car was driven onto a ramp of some variety here, wooden block, then you could probably have put your trolley jack in there as well and got it high after you'd lifted it to get at do some more work under the sill area. So the rear ramp, I've got it just about right. Here's the block situation. As I say, it's neither one thing nor another, which is just a quirk of the particular length of our vehicles. It's not really a criticism, it's just an is thing. I'm walking around the back of the car. I haven't got enough space in my garage to easily get front and rear, so I park it close to the rear. So if I just drop down for a second, you can see this great access. I know you all wanted to look at the bottom of my car, but that's another day. The floor is clear except for those 2 poles. So yeah, if you've got a wheelie chair, you have to pick it up and put it over those. Small price to pay. Strongman, the people who make my lift, do a version of this where the synchronizer tube, I think is the correct term, this one is split and can be unbolted. And as long as you bolt the ramps to the floor, you only need the one synchronizer tube. It's rather more expensive for a little bit more convenience for rolling in and out, but I didn't feel the need for that. The access under, quick glance, you can see, you know, you've got access to practically everything. It's just a close to the sill edge part where you'd need to jack the car off of the ramp a little to get better access. But yeah, all brilliant. Really, really pleased with that. Just gonna pop around the other side. The gap down here is great. I've got fabulous space here. It actually feels more spacious than I thought it would when I was laying it out. There's my toolbox. A little bit of depth perception issue. It makes it look tighter than it is because I can walk straight through this gap. And if I look that way, it probably gives you a better impression because actually the car's not kind of nose up to it. So I've got lots of space there, and this toolbox can and often does sit on this wall. And down here, if I just come all the way to the back and rotate, there's my door. I've got lots of space for the door to open, lots of space to work down here. The control panel fits nice and snugly behind that brick pier. Just couldn't be happier with it. It just works. Everything about it is as I hoped and then some. Minor negatives. So we got the trailing leads across the floor, which obviously I knew was going to happen. It's got this manifold block, which is reasonably substantial, which kind of rotates with the synchronizer pole. So when the lift is down, that's basically vertical, the way everything's set up at the moment. I might see if I can do something about that. But I think what I'm going to do is put a protective speed bump across, a little temporary construction I can drop on. So if I trip on something, I'm not tripping on the actual hydraulics and electrics. But yeah, that's all good. Plenty of lead and hose. So you could have this mounted a long way away from your ramp, and you can drag it outside and you don't want it to be too closely coupled. And the only other negative I've got is kind of my own making, in that the first few times I used this, it did trip my RCD in the unit up there. Tell me it's a 16 amp rated RCD, but that was a non-motor rated one, which it does request. Well, the first couple of times I used it, it did trip, but it seems that it's over it now. So that might just be an initial tightness in the hydraulics. I will get them to swap it, but worth paying due attention to the instructions, basically. So there you have it. So not sponsored in any way, but thank you very much to Strongman Tools for manufacturing and supplying such a great bit of kit. I am very pleased. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Please give your comments. What do you think to the lift? Is it what you anticipated, knowing that I'd sort of built up to this point for quite some time? Is it the sort of lift that you would go for? I'm really interested in the argument of all the various different types of lifts. I've made my decision. I'm content and think that I'm right for my circumstances. But I'm really interested to hear everybody else's opinions on it. And please subscribe, please tell your friends, please keep sharing. Lots more secrets of the XK8, mod and maintain on the XK8, which has obviously been waiting a little, some of it, for this. Why scrat around doing a few of the jobs that I've got planned when I knew this was on the cards. But we've got lots of other activities going on the garage itself, the T4, the Jeep front, the Navara, etc, etc, and the Gravity Race has got to get finished off. Simple as that. So love you all, see you soon, John out.